Hi friends, welcome to Kelly Cinch Ranch. My name is Amanda and it is seed starting time. I'm so excited about this year's garden. I'm always excited about every year's garden, but this year in particular. This is our second full year growing here on the ranch, and it has been a struggle. It is the soil here is just clay and it's pretty bad. So this year we're making some raised beds. I've shown that in some videos, and I'm just really excited to get these seeds started and share the garden season with you. Today I want to share with you what I'm growing and why, because I think that the why is more important than what, or at least just as important. So today I want to talk about like the theme of this year's garden and what I'm growing and why. If you're like me, you probably have been watching a ton of like homesteading videos and garden videos and farming videos, and maybe have for years. I know I have. And I have some favorite content creators that I have followed throughout the years, and I love them. I still love them. One of the things that they have really, it seems like a theme this year, is a lot of them are scaling back and a lot of them are just planting their favorite varieties. That's not my plan this year. I think that they're doing that for a variety of reasons. One, they've been doing this a long time. I haven't. So they know what their favorite varieties are. They know their tried and true things, and their channels are just bigger. They've grown larger. They're not experimenting as much, and that's great. I love that for them. That is not a diss in any way. I'm excited for them to be there. I hope someday I'm there, right? So, but for me this year we are focusing on all of our income coming from our farm, from our business, from this everything is a business. We have different enterprises on the farm, everything from the garden to the animals, sheep, cattle, things like that, plant starts to farm equipment. There's a lot of different enterprises that make up our business, but our income comes from our farm. And that's really going to be reflected in the choices that I make for what I'm growing, how much I'm growing, and things like that. So you just have to decide for you what is your why? What's your why for your garden? We've had different whys over the years. My first, I've kind of gardened off and on for several years, even back, 10 years when we didn't live in town. But I really started gardening in 2020 when, like many of you, I got laid off from work. And so I really started gardening that year and learning how to grow things and things like that. And throughout the years, it was just to experiment, like learn how to grow things and to see what we liked. And I'll go in through when we go into the seeds and what we're growing and why we like different things as we get there. But our big focus is we make a lot of hot sauce. My boys like hot sauce. We also sell a lot of hot sauce and things like that. So that is, again, part of our income from our farm. So you'll see that reflected in a lot of what we're growing. In the past, I've grown a variety of peppers, a variety of different things. And this year you'll see as we go through that I'm not really focused as much on a lot of different varieties. I have kind of some favorites, some that I've not tried or whatever, but it's going to be more about volume, less varieties, more plants. And again, that's because we plan to sell, we really want to sell quite a few plant starts at the farmer's market and things like that. And then we do want to sell a little bit of produce. Now, because we're doing the raised beds and not like a giant in-ground garden, we're not going to have a abundance of produce. It's not going to be a large thing that we're doing, but we want to grow mainly for ourselves, and then again, like I said, to bring in a little bit of extra income for the farm. All right, let's jump into it. We'll chat along the way, shall we? So the first thing that we are going to plant that I'm going to talk about is tomatoes. And I have a confession. Tomatoes are like the holy grail of gardening, right? They're like, if you're going to garden, you're going to grow tomatoes. I don't actually like tomatoes. I know. Isn't that's pretty sad? Yeah. So yeah, that makes a difference on what I'm growing. You'll kind of see that. And yeah, I love tomato products, and that is why, for the most part, for the tomatoes that we are growing for ourselves, I am trying Amish paste. I have not grown Amish paste before. This is a new variety to me. It is not a new variety. This is a fan favorite from what I can gather. I did get these seeds from Baker Creek. You'll see I got things from either Baker Creek or just at our local big box store. So we'll talk about that. But I've heard really great things about Amish paste tomatoes. I have heard that they grow a pretty large paste tomatoes. So your paste tomatoes are your things that you're going to make more of, like tomato sauce, salsa, things like that, maybe canning kind of things. And your bigger, more round, your traditional like looking tomatoes are your slicer tomatoes, and those are basically the ones that you eat fresh. And from there you have a couple other types of tomatoes, such as cherry tomatoes, spoon tomatoes, grape tomatoes, and so on. We're not planting a whole lot of those, but I'll show you what we are planting. But the cherry or the Amish paste tomato from Baker Creek is one. I'm really excited about that. I have not started that simply because when I ordered a lot of my seeds, I forgot to order the Amish paste. I don't know if I knew exactly what kind of paste tomato or Roma tomato. A lot of people, they have Roma tomatoes. I don't know if I knew for sure what I was going to do. Again, I'm not an expert on tomato varieties because it's hard to be an expert on varieties of things you don't particularly like. But again, I love tomato sauce. I love spaghetti sauce, pasta sauce, all of that kind of thing. I'm just not a fresh tomato kind of person. In fact, the only person, our son does eat fresh tomatoes, like on hamburgers and stuff. That's pretty much the only person that eats very many tomatoes in our house. So for that reason, the variety I'm growing the most for myself is the Amish paste. Now I am growing some beef steak tomatoes, and I'm growing those for a couple different reasons. And I have them started here. This is mostly, so these are half beef steak. These are all beef steak, and these are all of our cherry tomatoes. So that is what we have started so far, and they're doing really, really great. I'm really happy with how those seedlings look. They're all getting like their second sets of leaves. They're all looking very healthy, and they're ready to go to a bigger pot real soon. So we'll be working on that. But the beef steak, now for beef steak has, it's kind of became a type of tomato more than a variety. And so you could get beef steak in different companies, and they may all be slightly different. They just mainly mean that they're a big, beefy tomato, right? And so the reason I chose beef steak is for that reason. They are popular. People like a big tomato, and so I thought that would be the best type or variety or type of tomato to grow for plant starts, because a lot of people look for beef steak tomato plants when they're starting their garden. And I also thought if we grow some, that is the type of produce that people are going to be familiar with and are going to want to have for to eat and things like that. So for fresh eating. So for that reason, I chose the beef steak. Now I think I grew, I'm gonna look through. I have plants everywhere, right? I do think I did start a few of the Roma VF tomatoes. Those, again, I'll probably sell those plant starts, because now that I have the Amish paste, I'll be keeping those for myself, and just to have a variety to have to sell for plant starts and things. I will probably have a few of those, but I'll also probably start some Amish paste to sell as well. And other than that, I have one, and I couldn't find my seed packet, but I do have one, like I said, cherry tomato that I am growing. And honestly, I don't remember the variety. But to be fair, because I'm not a big tomato fan, I don't know that that would be really beneficial to share with you anyway. Because I'm not an expert, don't claim to be an expert, especially on cherry tomatoes or any kind of tomatoes. And so I don't know. It just said cherry tomato. I am going to sell, again, some plant starts. I am going to plant some cherry tomatoes, and that is mostly because I want to experiment with some dehydrating of cherry tomatoes. I've heard really great things about people who don't like fresh tomatoes liking cherry tomatoes dehydrated because they're sweet, and I think that my son might actually really enjoy that for a snack. So I have a really nice dehydrator, and I'm going to try to dehydrate some, and I'll try them too, even if I don't like them. I'll try them. Let's move on to peppers. Now, peppers are typically divided into hot peppers and sweet peppers, or just a bell pepper. We grow both, and this is something this is probably one of my favorite things to grow. I love growing peppers. I think part of the reason is I love sweet peppers. I'm not a spicy girl. I don't like the hot. I don't like hot anything, but my family does, and being able to grow that for them and them get that enjoyment, I really enjoy that. They're prolific. Everything we grow is pretty prolific, and so I love growing peppers. It's one of my favorite things to grow. So with that being said, one of the first one, and these are in no particular order, they're just laying here, is we grow cayenne. This is the cayenne long thin pepper from Baker Creek. They are super prolific. They're hot. They're hot. They not as hot as some other things I grow, but they are hot, and they are the base for most of my hot sauce. So we make hot sauce, and this is kind of the base pepper of those really hot sauces is a cayenne pepper. I also dehydrate these and make like crushed red peppers and things like that. So I'm really excited, again, to be growing these. I've always had really good luck starting these. I've never had any issues or anything. Cayenne has always grown really great from me, and I think I have always bought my the cayenne long thin from Baker Creek. I don't know that I've ever gotten them anywhere else. I'm sure they would grow just as fine from any other seed company, but that's whatever. I've got them. So this is by far the hottest pepper we grow. It is the ghost pepper. So we are known for making ghost pepper hot sauce. That's why we make ghost pepper hot sauce and ghost pepper salsa. That's why I need the tomatoes. But this is the Brut Jolokia ghost pepper. These are fantastic. They are very prolific, and even in our hot sauce recipes, I only have like most of it. Again, the base is the cayenne, and then I only put in a couple of the ghost peppers, and they will be loaded. I can't even guess how many ghost peppers are on one plant, but it's over 100, 200. I don't, a lot, maybe a lot. That may be way off. It may be a lot, even more than that. We just pick them till we're tired of picking them. And again, we also dehydrate these and make like a really hot cayenne, it's not cayenne, but like chili pepper like flake. My cat is meowing. I don't know. No, you can't get on the plants. So, so that is a favorite of ours to grow. I've always had really good luck. One year I had a situation where I just didn't start enough, and my plants died, and I had a hard time. Again, I've only been growing these for like 3 or 4 years, and so probably 4 years, and I had one year that I struggled. I ended up finally finding a plant. I had one it was plenty. It was plenty for all of our needs. Okay. The next pepper that I am going to be growing is jalapenos. We love jalapenos. We have also put this in our hot sauce and salsa. We also make jalapeno poppers, and that's one of the reasons why I went with the Craig's Grande jalapeno. They are a bigger jalapeno. They get pretty big, y'all. They're pretty good. So I don't know if of the other varieties. I've not experimented with too many different varieties. We did used to grow a different variety. I can't remember off my head what it was. I do think that the smaller jalapenos may have had more jalapenos on the plants. That may have just been my experience. But these are pretty prolific. And I didn't have as many of these as I would have liked last year. Again, our garden really struggled, so I didn't get any of these moved over into the raised beds. So I only had like a couple really sad plants that did not do well in the soil. But we still got some jalapenos, so kudos to you for hanging in there, Craig's Grande, because everything else died. The next thing that I have, and I've grown this one too before, this is a poblano ancho pepper. If you let it, this one just says poblano. Sometimes when you buy pepper seeds, it'll say poblano / ancho, and that's just because when poblanos are red, they're considered an ancho pepper. I have grown these to make stuffed peppers. We like these in fajitas. I will typically put all of my milder, from this down to the bell peppers, nothing hotter than this, so no like jalapenos or anything, but from the poblanos down, whether it's Anaheim's or, like I said, poblanos, bell peppers, California Wonder, all of those, I will just when we just have one or two, I will just slice those up and put them in a freezer bag and put them in the freezer, and that's what we use for fajitas or stir fry or anything like that. And so it makes a nice variety of, so sometimes you get a little bit warmer of one, sometimes it's a little bit milder. I've grown poblanos many years, and some years, and I also always get them from Baker Creek, and for whatever reason, some years they're hotter than others. Some years they're pretty spicy, and some years they're super sweet. I don't know. But one of the reasons I bought this, I didn't grow. I don't think I grew them last year. We had some leftover and things, but for one, I for the stuffed peppers. But two, Jessica from Roots and Refuge had mentioned that she grows poblanos to turn some red into anchos and makes a chili powder out of that. So that is on my radar this year, is to make my own chili powder. I'll probably use the poblano peppers along with some like cayenne pepper in that, just to make it just a little bit hotter. Not too much, because again, I don't like too many hot things, but I'm really excited to do the poblano pepper. So now let's talk about sweet peppers and the varieties of the sweet peppers that I'm going to grow this year. One of them is California Wonder, and so it's pretty good. It's a staple around these parts. I feel like there's a lot of people who grow the California Wonder. Ozark Giant is another one that I grow often, and I may end up growing some of those. I don't have my seeds out for them right here, but I may end up starting a few. We've just started some seeds, and we're doing kind of in stages, right? But I'll probably grow some Ozark Giants. I like both of them. They're both a really good pepper. They're both a sweet, they're good stuffing pepper, things like that. Neither one of them have a real strong flavor. I'd almost rather have something a little bit sweeter, a little bit stronger of flavor. And last year I bought a plant, and for the life of me, I cannot find I saved the tag. I don't know where I put it. At first I thought it might have been a Marconi, but I'm not actually 100% sure that it was a Marconi. But anyway, this is why I'm doing these videos now, is because I want to be able to look back and say, what did I grow? How did that work? And know the varieties because it was my favorite sweet pepper plant. It was very similar to, I'm going to grow the Ajvarski. It was very similar to this. So leave me a comment if you have any idea what I grew. What the heck did I grow? It was similar to the Ajvarski. I did not start it from seed. I believe it was a burpee plant or a, yeah, probably a burpee plant because I found it after all of my garden, you know, went terrible and was bad. I found we would rebuild some raised beds, and I was trying to just fill up the raised beds with whatever I had left, whatever had survived the devastation in the in-ground, and whatever I could just find already, already plant starts at the big box stores. And I bought this at either Lowe's or Menards. I don't remember. I remember the day I bought some plants at both places. I believe it was a burpee plant. It was a large red roasting pepper, very similar to Ajvarski, and it was the best, the best like sweet pepper that I think I've ever had. So I'm gonna keep my eye out. If I can find it, if I can find the tag, I'll order seeds. If I can't find the tag, I am gonna be like hunting down me some burpee trucks as we're trying to find this plant because it was fantastic. It had such a sweet flavor, so good, so very good. So I'm really hoping. We also grew some other ones that were smaller. They also looked like a red, and I think it just said, I think it was I almost want to say the plant was very generic on the tag. It was also like a rubber that just said like red pepper, red sweet pepper or something, like, I don't remember, but it was not sweet. It was hot, and those got mixed into my fajita mix this year because I thought they were sweet pepper. And woo, it is like Russian roulette in there because sometimes you get a spicy one. So, anyway, I should figure out what that was before we make the same mistake this year. So that's what I'm growing. These are our pepper plants that we have started so far. We have started a couple rows, two, three different like little things. And again, I typically drop 2, obviously sometimes 3 seeds in a little cell, and then I'll go through and I'll separate them into bigger pots. But we grew quite a few jalapenos because I want more of those this year. I do have a couple rows of the poblanos, a couple rows of cayenne, and then just 1 row of ghost pepper. And right now it looks like I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 seedlings that have came up. That will probably be plenty as long as nothing happens to these seedlings. Again, I am a little concerned that I only have 6 because sometimes things happen, and I did have that one year where I needed plant starts and I didn't have them. So when I do the next round of peppers, again, we've been starting some where they get the heat map and the lights, and then once they germinate and remove the domes, and they kind of move off until where they just get lights. And as I have more room, they'll go over to where they just have light instead of heat mats and things like that. So we've just been kind of starting just a couple trays a week until we get to where we want. So anyway, the next time I start my pepper plants, I may go ahead and plant just again 5 more, just to give myself a little extra insurance, because I know things can happen. I know sometimes I put things in the greenhouse and then it gets way too hot or way too cold and I forget things, and things just happen sometimes. So anyway, that is how the pepper situation is doing. Really happy with that.